New information about the suspect in the attack on the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says the accused attacker appeared to be targeting members of the Trump administration and potentially the president himself. Let's bring in activist and author Kerry Kennedy. Kerry attended the dinner, as did her brother, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Welcome. It's good to see you, Kerry, again. But look, let's talk about what all went down last night. We know that you were in a conversation with Congressman Jamie Raskin. What happened next?
So we were standing at the table next to the door, and we heard this big bang. And then suddenly people started yelling, "Get down, get down, get down." And so I immediately laid down, and my head was on the lap of a Boston Globe journalist, and my knees were on a United States senator. And then Jamie just used his whole body to shield me like the hero that he is. And he kept whispering, "You're okay, you're okay, you're okay." And then all of a sudden, the doors were already open, but this phalanx of Secret Service agents came racing in the room, like 20 or 30 of them, and they all had their hands on their holsters, and they were looking around like they didn't know if there were many shooters in the room or what was going on, and this just tremendous sense of fear and unknown, and you could see they were so sharp. And then they raced into the room. They started pulling out cabinet members and taking them to safety. And you could see the terror on the eyes of the people they were pulling out of the room. And the whole thing lasted about 4 or 5 minutes. And then there was this kind of, I have to say, during those minutes, I was so scared. It was like my body could not move. I had no control of my body. It was just this kind of whimpering coming out of my mouth, which I had no control of. But every ounce of the energy was about focusing on what's going on survival, and where's the threat? Where's the threat? And then it was over. And people sort of stood up again and looked around, tried to figure out what was going on. The journalists madly came to work and did their job, and they're, posting and talking about how to get the word out. And then another group of security came running into the room and said, "Go, go, 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 go out." And so we rushed out of the room. And it was really terrifying. I just was thinking so much about my dad, who, of course, was killed by a shooter in a situation like that, about my incredibly mighty mother, who was 10 months pregnant at the time. I mean, she was pregnant at the time with her 11th child, but she had 10 children at home. And I can tell you, the way I feel today is so grateful for all those Secret Service agents, especially for Jamie Raskin, who's such a superhero, just putting his life on the line to protect me. You can see it right in that picture. And I'm grateful that no one got hurt. I understand there was a Secret Service agent who was shot, but he had a bulletproof vest on, so I'm praying for him and his family.
Well, the good news on that, I can tell you, Kerry, he's been released from the hospital. He left this morning, and so he's not injured. So your prayers have been answered on that front. Can I ask you, because we saw some video of your brother and sister-in-law being, taken from the room, Secret Service rushing to them. Could you see him? Was he in your line of sight as well? Or were you just back there on the floor?
But I couldn't see him. Of course, I was very, very worried about him because I knew he was in the room, but I sent him a text, immediately. But I think, this is something that impacted everybody in that room. I'm just one of all those thousands of people, but just think about all these children kindergartners who are experiencing the same thing in their schools in our country. Why? There's no reason for this.
And that's something
that doesn't happen in other countries. It just doesn't happen. And it's all about access to guns. And
Carrie,
we have to wake up to this and stop.
You're saying this today, and this was something that was even on your mind in the heat of the moment last night, when you were able to rationally think about the fallout from this kind of gun epidemic. We had Jamie Raskin, who noted this morning in an interview, of course, we all know you lost your father, you lost your uncle as well to gun violence. And yet the first thing you said to him was, this is happening in schools across this country, and the kids have no resource to process the trauma. What has to change, Carrie?
I mean, we have to stop this insanity in our country with allowing anybody and everybody to buy guns and make it so easy for them to buy guns. That's what we have to do. You know, there are more gun dealers than there are McDonald's in our country. We've got to stop this. They stopped in other countries. We can do it.
We have suggestions, one of them being from Congressman Ro Khanna, who is now suggesting a bipartisan commission on political violence. But the question is, yes, you're talking about the number of guns that we have in this country and the access to it. Is that how we got here? I mean, what's your thought process behind that? And do you think a commission is the answer?
Look, I think when my father was running for president in 1968, one of his stances was, we need to have gun control. And so we've lost so many people since then, you know, and in so many schools. But I think today we also need to see each other with more love. And we have to be more intentional about saying, the light in me sees the light in you, and argue as hard as we possibly can on the issues, but keep it to the issues and not to the personalities. We have to find ways of saying, I see you as a human being, and treat each other with kindness and with generosity and with a sense of forgiveness in our country, in order to move forward with a hope of peace and justice and the community that all of us so desire.
Yeah, well, from your lips to everybody's ears, I have to say. But telling the story of what happened to you, Carrie, that was a great story. You told it, and we were right there. I started getting chills listening to you. I'm so sorry you went through this, but I hope that you have a day today that you can reflect on it and start out the week in a more positive tone tomorrow. Meantime, I'm really glad to see you because you look great.
Thank you.
It's good to talk with you and see you doing well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you again. Thanks.